Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram, Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers in VMware, and today joined by Nikolai. Welcome back, Nikolai. How are you doing?
Hey, Guy. I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me once again. It's always a pleasure.
No worries. No worries. Good to have you back. So, Nikolai, we're going to be talking about Cloud Director latest version 4.6. But before we start, do you want to just introduce yourself for people who haven't met you yet?
Sure. My name is Nikolai Patrikov, and I'm a senior technical product manager at VMware, responsible for VMware Cloud Director Availability. So today I'm going to present you the new features in VMware Cloud Director Availability 4.6 that was just recently released.
Cool. Well, let's dive into it then. 4.6. When was it released, Nikolai?
Mid-June. All right, so all the new features and we have the highlight of this release is the tunnel appliance high availability. Before 4.6, we had just a single tunnel appliance that was considered as a bottleneck by some cloud providers. So based on their feedback, we decided to create this high availability. And now we support having two tunnel appliances, both in active mode that will work together. Also, we have some improvements to vSphere DRM migration. As with every new release that we publish since we announced this feature, we have now added the recovery plans, bandwidth throttling, and also a public API is now available, which was not available in the past versions. Also, the VAP template migration that was available in the past releases is now gets an upgrade with the replication capability. So now we can create multiple copies when a template is modified, not just a single migration. I'm going to demonstrate that even live. And we have some other new features that help cloud providers to operate their DRS in a simpler and more convenient way, like auditing. Now all the Cloud Director Availability actions are added to the Cloud Director audit trail. We support all the networks that were in the past were not supported, like VAP networks, DHCP support for isolated, and also routed networks that in the past were converted to other supported versions. And we also have some enhancements to the recovery settings, aligning all the scenarios to make the same look and feel. So it's much more consistent now. I'm going to show that as well as part of my demo. Guest customization global setting that is a switch which can enable or disable the guest customization settings globally for all replications. And of course, these can be then overridden by individual replication settings, which is very useful for some cases where guest customization shouldn't be transferred by default. And also we have some reworked notifications. Now more channels are available. Everything can be sent through email and is available there. So with the tunnel appliance high availability, what's new in the picture? We have the second tunnel, which was not present in the past, and also a load balancer. All our examples are with NSX Advanced Load Balancer. However, any load balancer that you might want to use is supported with the settings that we provide. So it's not a strict limitation, it's just a recommendation. Also, one tip, if you use something to load balance the Cloud Director cells, you can just create another virtual service and use it for Cloud Director Availability as well, as they work together. So with that said, with the new elements, what we have, all the traffic except the replication traffic is flowing as normal. There are no changes. We have the exchange of traffic between the different components. We have the management traffic and everything. So this is not changed. It goes directly between the appliances. What is different now? We have the replication traffic. that in this case, this is the incoming replication traffic, which goes through the load balancer. We still keep a single public service endpoint that would that would lead to the load balancer virtual IP. And from there, all the incoming traffic is spread to the two tunnels as they are both in active state. If they are both functioning okay, then the traffic will be load balanced between the two appliances. If one of them is down, it will be just pointed to the other. And then from the tunnels, it goes to the replicators. And same goes for the outgoing traffic, where all the outgoing replication traffic, if this site is source for replication, will be pointed again to the load balancer, not directly to the tunnels, as the load balancing capability will be used. And also, if one of the tunnels is down, it will be ignored and it will be sent only to the other. So again, the outgoing traffic goes from the replicators and the manager to the load balancer, then to the tunnels. And from each of the tunnels, it goes out of this cloud to the remote cloud and the remote tunnel, no matter if it is behind the balancer.
Yeah, so just looking at this, so this is kind of load balancing at the service provider site, at the kind of replication target, if you're doing on-site to service provider. The reality of this, though, is that there'll probably be multiple remote tunnels.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking like if you're load balancing one end, you'd want to have kind of multiple resilient tunnels at the other end, right?
Yeah, here we just put it like a logical element remote tunnel, but it can be multiple tunnels. It can be on-prem sites. It can be other cloud sites. This load balancing is available only for cloud sites that are running Cloud Director. So it's not available yet for the vSphere to vSphere DRM migration. And on the other side, you can have multiple tunnels that are paired to this. Okay, very briefly on the deployment flow and what has changed here. So we have the same steps to deploy the appliances. This is for a new environment. We deploy all the appliances, run the initial setup wizard. In it, we only specify the first tunnel, so there is no change in this process. Then we have to deploy the additional tunnel, configure the load balancer, the virtual service pool, everything there. By the way, we have a blog and a white paper on that you can access in our blog. And in them, we have examples with different topologies, different configurations. We get quite into the detail how to configure that. So everything is covered there, and the values that we provided can be used for other load balancers as well. So after we configure the load balancer, we need to add this to the settings of Cloud Director Availability in the management portal settings UI, and that's it. Everything is configured, quite simple and straightforward. For existing environments, the only difference is we need to upgrade to 4.6 first, then deploy the additional tunnel, configure load balancer, and add it to the settings. Yeah, as mentioned, the load balancer configuration, it's available in our blog. And this is how it looks. So the new screen in the Cloud Director Availability settings, where we add the virtual IP of the load balancer, the port that the service is running, and the second tunnel endpoint. If it is a brand new appliance, and once you provide the initial password and click test connection, you'll be asked to change the password, the root password. So you don't need to do this in advance in order to have it connected. And this is how it looks as a fully configured thing as a final stage in the Cloud Director Availability settings.
Cool.
So vSphere to vSphere, I won't spend much time on the slides because this is part of my demo. I'll just quickly go through that. also the VIAP templates replication, the recovery settings enhancements. So we have this for the Cloud Director cases and mostly for the vSphere DR and migration cases that I'm also going to demonstrate with the different networks and network adapters mappings. The guest customization global setting, this is how it looks. It's just a switch to activate it. The improved event notifications. Now we have multiple emails, adding also the activity summary report that can be sent to both cloud providers for the whole cloud, what has happened during the past week, and also to tenants, what has happened with their organization during the past week. And this report is also available for the cloud providers in the reports section of the UI, where it can be generated, and it can be generated per organization or for the whole instance and seen as an HTML report.
Are you going to see replication failures in that report as well?
You can see how many have been replicated, but failures not yet.
Okay. Okay.
The audit trail, so now all actions that happen within Cloud Director Availability are logged in the VCD audit trail, and they're available from there, so can be exported. This means logins, logouts, change of system settings, reconfiguring replication. All this is now available there. And the NSXT VIAP Edge support, so DHCP for isolated networks, routed networks, and all the network services are now being replicated, which in the past were not supported before VCD 10.3 and before VCD 4.6. So I'll start with the VIAP template replication because it's more time consuming and we have some waiting time. During the waiting time, I'm going to show the vSphere to vSphere enhancements and to go back to the VIAP template replication just to show the results. So what we have here, we have two Cloud Director instances with two catalogs, and through Cloud Director Availability, I'm going to replicate template from the one catalog to the other, then modify it, and show how this will result in the destination catalog. So what we have now is the new protection. In the past versions, we only had the migration. So I'll create a new protection. I need to authenticate my destination org. So I can select the destination site that I want to replicate it. It can be the same Cloud Director, just a different catalog, or it can be a remote Cloud Director catalog. We don't have a limitation on that. I pick the right catalog item. This is my template. I need to specify the destination VDC and storage policy because that's part of the process. First, once the VIAP template is replicated, it's created as a VIAP under the destination Cloud Director and uses these resources there. And then it's imported in the catalog, and the VIAP is deleted afterwards, after it gets imported. So this is the flow, and this is why we need to specify these. And here is the new updates to the feature. So we have track source for changes, which means every 5 minutes we're going to check the source template for any modification there. And if there is any change, then we can have some automated behavior. This automated behavior is based on whether we have performed the initial migration of the template to the destination catalog. If yes, then we can have automatically migrating every new version of the template, which could replace the existing destination template, or can create a new copy. At the moment, we don't have a retention policy for that. So if you use creating a new copy, you need to monitor not to get all the storage used by modified templates. And we also have the time interval. that we can specify. And if we specify any interval here for delayed start synchronization, then only during this interval we'll check for updates on the template. And if there is one, the synchronization will start during the interval, but might not be finished until the end of the interval if it's a large template or it would require more time to synchronize. So it's for the start. In this case, I won't use it because I want to check it all the time. And
this is great. It's going to save a lot of administrative time when you're updating templates and you want kind of the rest of the cloud instances to have the same template.
Yeah, and also with the modified templates, you can always have this kind of versioning at a distant catalog if you want to keep all the versions, for example. So now I have this template. If I don't migrate it now, if I don't hit migrate, once I perform a change, a new protection will be created, and this one will be deleted without doing anything at the destination. It will just reprotect the new version of the template, because once you modify a template and overwrite a catalog item in Cloud Director, it gets a new ID, which means it's basically a new template, and this is why the old replication is not relevant anymore. So now I will migrate it to show the automated migration. I pick the destination catalog, settings, I don't change, and click finish. So now after the migration is done, I will change the template, and we'll leave the tracking mechanism to find out that there is a change and to recreate the protection and to automatically migrate it. This is what is going to take some time, as it goes through every 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I'll show the rest of the features, just waiting for this to be done. It will take another minute probably, as it's a quite small VM.
So whilst it's happening, are we, so this is like the first kind of capability that we've had in this, let's call it like template migration, template synchronization. Once the new template is in place, all of the active replications that the customer is using will then use that new updated template, but it's the same ID as the existing one, right? So they won't have to change anything.
For if they use the migration, the old feature, if before you migrated for some reason you delayed this process and make a change, then it will pop up with an error because the old template is no longer existing in VCD. So because of that, we added this, and with the simple migration, we intend just to create the migration and migrate it right away, then remove it, and that's it. And with the protection, we just maintain multiple copies and handle these changes to the source templates.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, this one is ready. It's migrated, and I will be able to see it here in my catalog. Here it is. So now I'm going to change this. I have deployed it, and I have here. So I'll just change something like the compute of the virtual machine, and we'll do it. Okay. I'll use and memory. Save, and now it will take some time to reflect the changes. In the meantime, let's switch to vSphere to vSphere DRM migration. So here, what we have first, the Open API client. Also, the API is available in any other typical way that you would like to access it. Everything is, in terms of documentation, is available at developer.vmware.com. And you can see the full reference there for all the actions, how to use it, and etc. So I'm not going to spend much time here. The bandwidth throttling, it can be enforced per network adapter of the tunnel. In this case, I have only one. We can just change it.
Oh, that's cool, because that was something that was asked for a lot of times, right? It was, well, one, being able to specify a NIC, and two, to be able to bandwidth throttle on a NIC.
Yeah, and we had this for Cloud Director Clouds for a while, but just now it is added also for the dedicated vSphere clouds.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, the next thing is the recovery settings and what we have here. So we still need to select the VM folder, compute resource. Now the compute resource is shown only the available based on the data store selected during the creation of the protection or migration. So these settings are verified to avoid any conflicts. And here is what we have as new thing, the network mappings and how they're being redesigned. So we have this customized per network adapter settings, which enables another step of the wizard. So here we can map between the networks that are used by these protections, by the VMs in these protections. So I have already done the mapping. These are all the available networks at the destination site, and I can map between them. And here, for each of the VMs and each of the adapters, I can perform bulk configuration. For example, if I want all the network adapters to use all the same network, I can just do it like that and it changes. If not, I can perform this mapping per network adapter. It's as simple as that. Again, we can specify different or the same settings for test and for actual migration and failover, which is available for a while. And with that, our recovery.
So Nikolai, it picks up the compute settings from the target end, but then it also reads the network configuration at target end and supplies that back to the wizard here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this way we can easily connect the destination VM and all its network adapters to the desired networks as part of the failover process without requiring any manual intervention afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing is the recovery plans. Here again, we have the DR and the migration plan. I'm going to create a DR plan. Protections. It's exactly the same thing that we have with Cloud Director Clouds. So we specify the steps, the sequence of how VMs would be migrated or failed over, and we have the same set of available actions. So to create a new step, we can add waiting times and also manual prompts that will suspend the recovery plan until a user logs in to the Cloud Director Availability UI and manually acknowledges the prompt that will continue with the plan execution. This is quite useful for suspending the plan until you verify the previous step is properly executed, all the VMs are up and running, and there are no problems with them. So again, we can select one or multiple VMs per step. I'm just going to add two. Another step. We cannot add a single VM for multiple steps of the recovery plan. Just once. And here I can see, for the sake of time, I'll just detach one of the VMs to leave only one for the first step. And what we have as available actions, again, we can test the whole plan. We can directly fail it over or perform a migration of the whole plan. If we didn't specify the recovery settings before testing or running the plan, we'll get an error message here saying that recovery settings are not configured. So because within the recovery settings, we put the destination, and without that, we cannot continue. Here is the prompt. The plan is suspended. I just continue. We can also track the plan execution live, seeing on which step we are presently. And now, once it is completed, the execution report is here, where we can see all the information about the steps, like execution time. If there is any error with that, we'll be able to see what the error message is and why it's failing. Also, some information about the site is available, so this can be provided to a tenant as well as part of the service, just to guarantee that their recovery plans are working and are tested.
Just remind me, Nikolai, the test function here is actually doing a replication. It's doing all of the actions in the stages and steps that you've defined. And then it's just removing that replication once it's complete.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any impact over the source environment. So it doesn't power off, even the migration doesn't power off the source. And now I have the test cleanup button that is going to delete, power off and delete everything from the destination that has been created. And as part of the functionality, we can have different settings, network settings for testing, which means we can put this in an isolated network that will not cause any harm to the production systems if we're just testing. And yeah, so the cleanup is also seen in the report available here. And that's about it. Very simple and straightforward recovery plan execution. Okay, and now let's switch back to here and see if we have to do that. Let's make a little more to detect the change. Yeah, so it will take a little more. So maybe just not to waste any time. Basically, what I have configured is to get another version of this VApp template in the destination catalog. So I'll get a second item here with the changed VM settings.
Cool. Yeah, that might take a while when you're looking at 8 gig, 16 gig VApps. It's going to take a little while to replicate. Cool. Yeah. So lots of new capabilities there. The HA appliance, I could see that being, really useful for providers. This catalog replication, absolutely invaluable to understand that you can keep your catalogs in sync now, or version them at the target end, depending on what you want to do. And just to remember that if you sync them and you overwrite the destination, the ID stays the same, right? But if you choose to kind of version it, then you're going to have a whole new catalog template. Cool. Thanks, Nikolai. Anything else to kind of talk about in terms of the demo?
No, that's all. Just stay tuned to our blog, because we're publishing everything new there. We dedicate typically a full blog post on each of the significant features. So with all the details and the different use cases and etc. Also in the YouTube channel, we publish a lot of videos. So yeah, just check the materials that we publish all the time.
Excellent. And you're going to be talking in Explore Vegas, is that right, Nikolai?
Actually, no, but there will be a session for Cloud Director Availability that one of my colleagues will handle.
Okay, cool. And all the demos will be at the demo booth. So, if you want to have a conversation more about Cloud Director Availability and what it can do, then find us at the Explore demo. And obviously, if you can, attend the session around Cloud Director Availability.
Yeah, we have great content prepared for there. So just attend it.
All right. Thank you very much, Nikolai. Appreciate your time today and updating us on 4.6. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.